Hello everyone, this is Al Rodi. This is 8 for 8. I'm in beautiful downtown Brookside / Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's a rainy, beautiful, wonderful day, and I love and accept myself deeply and completely. Um, Today I want to talk about I'm Not Good Enough. Featured article in my newsletter this week is about I'm Not Good Enough. It showed up at the amazing Level 1 workshop that we ran down at Lazy Brook Healing Center in Coldbrook, Nova Scotia on Sunday. This feeling of I'm not good enough. I don't really think that any of us, when we were conceived as babies, thought we weren't good enough to create the perfect body. I don't think that as babies we thought we weren't good enough to continue to manifest lungs and fingers and toes and noses and hair and bloodstream and an immune system and all of that stuff. And so, while it's possible, I suppose, that this feeling of not being good enough comes from cellular memory, or maybe it's stuck in our DNA from our ancestors past. I think that most of the time it's this idea that someone felt that way and taught us how to feel that way at an early age. And so we either learned by example. Well, mom was always the caregiver. She always took care of everybody. She always served herself last. She always took care of me. But I was watching her kind of, be the last one to eat, and maybe there wasn't enough food for her, but everybody else got to eat. And so mom didn't really deserve to have her fair share. So I learned that by example, and I think that's a really noble way to be. And so I want to be that way too. And of course, we live in a feeling of lack or not enough abundance. And so, that's something I also learned from mom. And she doesn't feel good enough to create amazing abundance. And so I probably don't have the right to feel good enough to create amazing abundance and to feel good enough about myself. That's one way that we learn to not feel good enough. Another way is, well, honey, I know you want to help me, but you just don't know how to do it. And, you're probably going to screw it up, and you're probably going to make a mistake. And I know you tried really hard, but I'm just going to fix this. Or I'm just going to do this for you because, you're just not good enough to do it yet. Someday you'll learn how to be good enough to do it, but not right now. Or, I got a 95 on my test, Dad. Oh, well, so how come you didn't get 100? And so we learn either by example or from someone who feels that way about themselves and projects that idea onto us. And any way you look at it, it's a debilitating feeling. And a whole lot of people have it. I mean, it shows up in my Tuesday night group. It shows up in all the workshops. It shows up in all the private sessions, or most of the private sessions. It just shows up. And so what if we just decided that we're good enough in this moment, right here, right now? And what if one way to do that was to just tap on the idea, okay? So tap along with me and use your own language. You can change the language around, but tap along with me and see how it resonates. First off, I want you to start out by saying, I don't feel good enough about myself. Say that. I don't feel good enough about myself. Feel how it feels. Don't think about it. Feel how it feels in your heart, in this part of your body. Go into your body, feel the feeling, and say, I don't feel good enough. And put a number on it on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 would be totally true, 0, not at all. Okay? What is your number? Do you know what it is? Okay. It's the emotional charge that you have around that statement. I don't feel good enough. What is your emotional charge? And what number would it be for you? Okay? So, tapping on the karate chop point, we're just going to do a really simple round. Even though I don't feel good enough, I love and accept myself deeply and completely. Even though mom or dad or my grandparents or my teachers taught me that I just didn't live up, just didn't measure up. That was a long time ago, and I choose to change that feeling now as I'm learning how to love and accept myself deeply and completely. Even though I don't feel good enough, I love and accept myself deeply and completely. Okay? Top of the head. Well, I don't feel good enough. I don't feel good enough. Even though I think I'm not good enough. Even though I think I'm not good enough, I love and accept myself deeply. Even though I feel that I'm not good enough, I love and forgive myself for having that feeling. Even though I feel that I may not be good enough, I love and forgive myself for having that feeling. And under the arm, even though I feel I may not be good enough, I choose to change that idea deeply and completely. Okay, take a deep breath. Hold it for a second and let it out. Make the statement again. I don't feel good enough. Or I'm not good enough. Feel how it feels? If your number was, let's say, a 6 or a 7 or an 8 before, what is your number now? Is it still the same or has it changed a little bit? Let's assume for this exercise that it's changed just a little bit, slightly, but not a whole lot, okay? So what are we going to do again? We're going to do the adjusted setup phrase, adjusted reminder phrase, and say, even though I still have this feeling that I'm not good enough, I love and accept myself deeply and completely. Even though I still have this feeling that I'm not good enough, I love and forgive myself deeply and completely. I still have this feeling that I'm not good enough and that I don't deserve to feel good enough. Oh well, I love and accept myself deeply and completely. Top of the head. This remaining feeling of not being good enough. Who taught that to me? I choose to let that go, and I choose to forgive my well-meaning caregiver who taught me that I wasn't good enough. I choose to feel good enough right here, right now, in this moment. Even though I feel that I'm not good enough, I choose to feel good enough in this moment and from now on. I choose to love and accept myself deeply and completely, to accept myself as one of God's children, to recognize that I came here to have a physical experience, and part of that experience includes pain and suffering. And perhaps I've contributed to the pain and suffering by accepting the idea that I'm not good enough. And as I overcome the pain and suffering and make a conscious decision that I deserve to be loved, that I deserve to be seen as perfect, that I deserve to be as one of God's children, this idea that I'm not good enough is just a bad idea. And I'm going to love and accept myself deeply and completely instead. That was then, and this is now. I love and accept myself deeply and completely. I am good enough, just the way I am. Deep breath, hold it, let it out. So, test your number, see what your number is. If it's a little bit less, but it's not completely zero, go back and do it again. Do it over and over and over until it's completely a zero. If you feel like you're good enough in every given moment, your life will completely change. I know this to be true from my own experience. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you. This is Al Rodee. This is 8 for 8. Have a great week. Keep on tapping day in and day out. Your practice is the most important thing you can do day in and day out. Bye for now. See you next week.